Admiral Mike Mullen, thank you so much for your time for Voice of America URDU service.
Good to be with you.
Let's start with Ukraine. We see that India keeps buying oil. Turkey just signed a S-400 missile system. The world seems to be doing business with them while the West imposes sanctions. Do you think there's enough pressure on Russia at this point?
Actually, as far as sanctions are concerned, I've been surprised they have kicked in as hard as they have, as quickly as they have. Historically, I've not been much of a sanction fan because it takes a long time, and it really has devastated Russia early. And by all indications, the sanctions will continue to build. There'll be additional pressures. I know that President Biden spoke with European leaders yesterday to make sure that, one, they stick with the sanctions, and two, that they would add sanctions. So there's an extraordinary amount of pressure on Russia. And I think when this is done, and I don't know when that's going to be, that Russia's going to be a different country. I think Putin will be a pariah globally, and every aspect of Russia, certainly from an economic standpoint, is going to have to be revisited. I don't think Europe can move forward without restructuring its energy domain, if you will. I don't think we can go back to Russia providing half of the natural gas to Germany, for example.
So no-fly zone, what is the delay in granting that for NATO and the U.S.?
This is something that fascinates me. Effectively, with the number of helicopters and aircraft that the Ukrainians have shot down, there's almost a de facto no-fly zone as we speak. I saw a story this morning where essentially Russian helicopters only are flying in very controlled spaces, areas they control. I think the risk of a no-fly zone, if you put a no-fly zone up, you have to take out the air defense systems inside Russia to protect your own aircraft. And when you do that, that's an act of war. And I think of all the objectives we have here, at the top of my list is to make sure we don't break out in World War III.
Let's talk about Afghanistan a little bit. Recently, Afghanistan banned Voice of America, DW, and BBC. How do you see this? Is the world too focused on Ukraine to notice Afghanistan now? And are the Taliban more rigid than before, or was this expected? What's your take on that?
My thoughts on that are the Taliban, that they are, it's what they believed in, it's what they were before they were run out of the country, and it's what they will be for the foreseeable future. The question is, in the times in which we're living, whether they can actually run a government and run a country. And I think they will, with the rules that they have, particularly with respect to women and education, et cetera, that will not serve them well, either internally in the country, much less globally.
So the U.S. was there for 20 years.
Yeah.
Al-Qaeda is still a threat. I had recently interviewed Leon Panetta. We also heard in the recent past, we heard General Milley talk about the threat that they are capable of attacking the U.S. from Afghanistan soil in it's less than 3 to 6 months. We are on the tail end of the 6th month now. To have that kind of threat after the United States was there to tackle Al-Qaeda in particular for 20 years, how do you see this?
Well, I think obviously it's going to be more difficult tracking the threat than it was when we were on the ground there from an Al-Qaeda standpoint. I was one who basically said it was time for us to get out. 20 years is a long time, and I supported President Biden's decision. We recognize the threat, and we are much more sophisticated at being able to track it, even with the added degree of difficulty. I think we'll do a pretty good job with respect to that. You never know, it's still dangerous. Al-Qaeda is not what it used to be. It's not even close to what it used to be, but still capable of doing that.
While you were there, you had also called Pakistan working with the Haqqani network, which is the deadliest arm of Taliban. How much part do you think Pakistan has played in the fall of Kabul?
They didn't do much to stop it, for sure. The ISI was still very operative even a decade later after I testified to the fact that I believe basically the ISI was an extension of the military side Pakistan. And I still believe that. I know that connectivity is there. It sort of cuts both ways. I think the ISI play it on both sides, and so does the military leadership.
How do you foresee the foreign relations between the United States and Pakistan at this point?
Well, it's difficult to say. I think we've clearly distanced ourselves from Pakistan over the last decade, and Pakistan has more and more fallen under the umbrella of China, another neighbor which has been supportive of Pakistan and which I think suits China's global ambition, if you will, to have somebody closer to them and not close to the U.S. So I think it will be tense for quite some time.